All right. Welcome to day two of writing song. So, yesterday we had this idea of starting off our chorus with this thing, which looked up is a high D. This is the regular D. Yeah, you can hear that. Just up an octave. So, originally we were going here, going, which is all right. But the more I play it, the more that sounds a little bright. It's just. mm, So that's the thing about writing stuff. Sometimes you have something that seems like it's going to work okay, but the more you play it, the more you go, something's not right about it. And maybe you make a change. So this was going, and we had this idea that the song was going to be, well, you think voice about nobody else. Wow, the truth is on a shelf, controlled by somebody's wealth, and somebody's wealth was always going to problem with the beats. So worked on a little bit and said, well, if it's a D anyway, maybe it should just be a D. Sounds a little bit more. mm. And there's too many damn words in that chorus. So we're going to have to shorten that whole thing up. So now started to come around to the idea of, well, maybe it's a. That lower D kind of sounds okay. I'm still not married to this B. I'm not sure about that. The G sounds okay. Anyway, in the verse, we're going to go to a G2, but you'll notice the whole thing starts to beg instead of a 4-line chorus to be more a little bit more of a 3-line. So I know I was talking about for yourself sounds a little bit better than about yourself, but and a little bit of practice about yourself made more sense. So now we're going to say, well, you think about yourself and you think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? Think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? Yeah, that sounds a little bit better. I like that. How can you care about me? But it just ends a little bit in this way where you're just like, we ended up kind of high. It's are going up. So I'm like, think for yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? And if that keeps coming in as our chorus, it doesn't feel like it goes anywhere. It's like just missing something. So thinking about that fourth line, all the other words that we had written down being on a shelf, well, gave a little bit of thought about that. It makes no damn sense. Not every song has to make sense. That's the beauty of rock and roll. Sometimes we get a line that makes no sense at all. Um, Oftentimes, that comes from those placeholder lyrics that we've written and just decided to keep. Well, here we're not going to keep that. Keeping on a shelf controlled by somebody's wealth is okay. Maybe you'll find its way back to something one day, but I don't want to have a chorus being about being on a shelf. It feels like if you're saying on a shelf in a chorus, maybe somebody's gonna put the song up on a shelf and it doesn't have a lot of life to it. So we're gonna keep it a little bit more simple. And by saying how can you care about me drives it back to some being something more personal. So that sounds okay, but still finishing up with the 3 lines. So you think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? Makes it hard to go anywhere, right? Because we put our verse in after it. And I think yesterday I was doing a verse as a B minor. We go, I still kind of like that. But kind of started simplifying it to just GA. Okay, but here's the tie together point because you notice if we go now we try to get to our verse. Well, coming off that, Yeah, doesn't feel right. I like the B minor still. I don't know. We'll figure that one out later. But we had a different idea. I had one for this chorus. I would go, well, you think about yourself and you think about yourself and nobody else. Say, well, how can you care about me? Well, let's answer that. So, how can you care about me? And now we find ourselves in the verse a little bit easier. Anyway, so the idea of answering it back, I think, makes the chorus a little bit better. So you can hear it kind of going through of what you think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? How can you care about me? Now we talked about yesterday this whole line about and all the times you watch them suffering, laying reclined, your mouth stuffing, yeah. And so just combine that to while you reclined, watching them suffering. Ooh, it's a little bit cleaner, right? But no, I'm not sure if we want the B. While you reclined, watching them suffering. I don't know. No, I don't think the B minor is going to work there. Maybe we could save that B minor for our bridge. So I think we're going to have a bridge. Now, bridge, if you don't know it, it's that part where, like, we've been going along between the verse and the chorus, and we're alternating and doing some stuff, and then all of a sudden we want to change things. Now, the bridge can be, and sometimes is referred to as the bridge, where we're doing a solo. Oftentimes, the solo is going to be done over something recognizable, like another version of the verse. Sometimes that solo is done over a bridge, where the music just changes a little bit. Some songs have more than one bridge. I really like having a bridge where we have some lyrics over it, where things have changed and it gives us a little change in tone to be able to go in a slightly different direction than what we get from the verse and from the chorus. I did accidentally stumble on the idea that our outro can repeat that tail end descent of the chorus, the outro being the ending of the song. So we can just kind of finish the song with a something like that. That kind of comes off okay for an ending, I think. So, what happens in the beginning? Well, we'll figure that part out a little bit later. We know we start with the chorus. Okay. Now, should we have a G instead of a B? Let's try that out. And we'll just go, well, you think for yourself and nobody else. How can you care about me? How can you care about me? Mm, You think for yourself. You think about yourself and nobody else. Well, how can you care about me? So that you notice I'm doing something that I do a lot when I'm trying to write is that I'll change the rhythm. Now, when I'm first playing something and I haven't figured out how exactly it goes, you naturally, or at least I do, have only a handful of rhythms that you go to. So you'll see, like, when I'm starting like, okay, so I do certain ways of strumming. That's not necessarily the way the song's going to go from a rhythm perspective, but the more that we jam, the more that we figure out where the rhythm is. But in this case, we're trying to figure out the words because the words came before the music, which is a rarity and stuff I'm doing too. So back to the question: does it make sense to have a G instead of a B in the middle of that chorus? So you think for yourself and about and no one else. Let's see. You think about yourself and no one else. So how can you think about me? How can you think about me? I like that tail end. I think the B works better, doesn't it? When you think about yourself and nobody else, think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? How can you care about me? You have some accidentally going to that A. So you just try it without the B at all. When you think about yourself and nobody else, so how can you care about me? No. Think about yourself and nobody else. How can you care about me? That's not bad. How can you care about me? Well, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you? So how can you care about me? How can you care about me? What do you think about yourself and nobody else? How can you care about me? Well, you think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you care about me? And how can you care about me? Oh, while you crying, walking down suffering. You think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you think about me? And how can you think about me? Now let's try that bit with B minor. Yeah, it works okay. Or is it a G? Do you think about yourself and nobody else? So how can you think about me? And how can you think about me? Well, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Oh, wait. Think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Can we just simplify it? Think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? How can you think about me? Maybe we're just having two chords there. Simple D G. That's a really simple chorus. You think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? And how can you think about me? I like it without the B. Maybe we can save that A. Hmm. Okay, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Well, maybe we got a little riff there. So think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? How can you think about me? Well, young, while you crying, watching suffering. When there could be some kind of capacity. Whoa, what up? You know, I didn't mind that there are well, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? You think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you think about me? When you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think? How can you think about me? Think about me. There's that 87. You think about yourself and nobody else. So how can you think about me? How can you think about me? This is an A. This is a G. This is a D. A G D. When you think about yourself and nobody else, so how can you think about me? When you think about yourself and nobody else, so how can you think about me? When you think about yourself and nobody else, so how can you think about me? When you think about yourself and nobody else, how can you think about me? How can you think about me? Well, all You real, you can walk around suffering. You haven't beaten my was not fine. Oh, he said, say, Papa, Papa, jump, Papa, Okay, let's see what we had for our bridge lyrics. So we had, but from time to time we find you're on the wrong side of it. Okay, let's try that. So time to time, find you're on the wrong side of it. Waiting in lines. Waiting in lines, always at the end of it. Kind of borrowed that. If you ever heard Find Me a Place, a song that was a bonus track on one of the EPs, that whole wait in line thing comes from there. And it's a nice idea, you know? You're at the end of the line, you're never getting anywhere. I don't know if I like that for this. So we've got from time to time you find you're on the wrong end of it. So in this, I was trying to do that part where, like, every so often in lyrics, they repeat something rather than rhyme something. So end of it doesn't have to rhyme with something as a phrase. We could just repeat end of it using it in different ways. So originally this was written as, but from time to time you find you're on the wrong side of it, waiting in lines and always at the end of it. You'd like to speak to a manager who'll never hear the end of it. Hmm. All kinds of choppy. But I like the idea of speaking to a manager. It's all very caring. So let's see. From time to time, you're on the wrong side of it. That's not bad. Just go octaves. Remember, that's our A. A. So we could E minor, wrong side of it. No, we could finish there. We have to have something in between. I need something more dissonant. Wrong side of it. We were here. Sometimes you put in different chords, try to find one. I'd love if you could. That's A minor. It doesn't work. F, no. B, to bring our B back, no. Flat, no. Hmm. Okay, so sometimes you just make shapes because I don't know theory. 7, nope. Wrong side of it. That is true. That is true. Maybe that is okay. Never hear the end of it. How about you? No, that's probably true. You know, you think by yourself and nobody else. Think of me, think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Well, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Well, how can you think about me? You think about yourself and nobody else. And how can you think about me? How can you think about me? Now we just kind of jam that. See, makes sense. What do you think about yourself and nobody else? How can you think about me? Well, how can you think about me? Well, I'm crying, watching them suffering. What? In one piece of yeah, sad but true. When you think about yourself and nobody else, so how can you think about me? When you think about yourself and nobody else, how can you think about me? I don't like it going up. When you think about yourself and nobody else, how can you think about me? I would like to go down. I'd like it if I could go down. That's the problem with the ukulele. If I had a guitar, I might be able to get to a lower D. Yeah, but I don't. So we're going to think about yourself and nobody else. About me. Just about me, me, me. And then sometimes you slow it down to play with that rhythm again. Like one. What do you think about yourself? How can you think about me? How can you think about me? What do you think about yourself and nobody else? How can you think about me? What do you think about yourself and nobody else? How can you think about me? No, you're thinking about yourself and nobody else. So how can you think about me? Yeah, how can you think about me? Oh, what are you planning? Watching them suffering. And across your mind, I say, don't bother. What you think about yourself and nobody else. So what you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? What you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? How can you think about me? All right. Well, we got some parts. The whole chorus thing, it's in the works, right? We changed it pretty significantly from yesterday. We've dropped most of our lyrics, but we have some pieces that remain. We're not too worried about all that yet because we know that we got a lead line for the sections. Okay, so the whole while you recline watching them suffer and it feels pretty good. Maybe we'll keep with that. From time to time, you're on the wrong end of it for the Bridge seems okay. Might be a keeper. And I think the chorus is largely intact, but I'm not sure about that melody. I don't know about whether we're going to drop D to A, if we're going to go up D to G. I like that little tail end that was written recently of the descending answer. But I feel like I'd like something a little bit more dissonant in the middle, right? Because I feel like when we're going here, it just still feels right, right? So if we thought of this as a show tune, right? It'd it'd be, so you think about yourself and nobody else. And how can you think about me? Oh, baby, well, you think about yourself and nobody else. How can you think about me? Think about me. I don't know. You can kind of imagine somebody doing it with a little top hat and cane. But there is a fine line between rock and roll and poppy show tunes. Sometimes the answer is distortion. A lot of times there's poppy leaning songs where if you just play them without the distortion, it sounds very poppy show tuning, if you will. But you distort it, and suddenly it's gold. Uh, here, that part feels bright. Like that's nice. But no, the G doesn't. G sharp? Nope. I'll just keep having to play that one, and maybe I'll figure out something. But you get the idea. There's a whole lot of time spent of playing something over and over and making minor tweaks until you settle on the thing that you like. So stay tuned tomorrow, and maybe there'll be a different version of all of that. And eventually we'll get to where we're settling on the arrangement and fleshing out the remaining lyrics. But for day two, we got some moving parts. Pretty strong out of the gate. It's not all crap and being tossed in the bin yet. Although, word of caution, you never know when a song ends up being crap until it is. So, this may not be a winner, but we're going to write it anyway. Thanks for joining me.